Hello. Right up front, Donald Trump won the debate. Donald for another 4 years. Donald for another 8 years. Donald for the rest of his life. Okay, if that's what he wants to do. It's a tough job to be president in the United States. Okay, none of you could ever do it. Okay, particularly not if you happen to be kind-hearted, wanting to get something done, and then having to be alone against the mafia all around you. Only Donald Trump can pull that off. Okay. He has what it takes. He has the genius IQ, and he has this extreme compassion. Okay, it takes these two components. And he always thinks a couple of chess moves farther than his opponents. And you have to be able to do this, or they will just push you over. Okay, so Donald Trump cannot be pushed over. He is a rock in the surf. Okay, standing strong no matter what comes at him. So I love Donald Trump. Okay, and I hope that enough people have enough insight into what's going on in the world to see who is who and who cares, and who are the few people who actually care about things. Okay, I wrote a very long list of accomplishments that Donald Trump has achieved already in these couple of years. So if you want that list, I will send you the list. He even got nominated for a Peace Prize by Norway. So that's pretty amazing. And he has saved our state parks. Okay, he has signed a very important animal rights bill to protect the animals, which no other president before him was willing to do, and many other amazing things. Okay, he's doing everything he can to stand up for holistic medicine, for plant-based medicine that's more effective to cure viruses. And you really, if you stand up to the pharma industry, you are a tough person. If you make it through, if you know how to fight your way through against the pharmaceutical industry and the insurance industry and all of this is connected to that. And it's a network of corruption in the whole world. Okay, Donald Trump is standing up against all of this corruption. He is amazing. Okay, but you will not hear this on the regular news. You will not hear this on any channel. Okay, on any major news outlet, you will not hear this. They are all on the take from the Muslim and the corporate agenda. They all are working for them. They get paid. They take money under the table, backroom deals. They're getting paid a lot of money to slander Donald Trump and to always portray everything completely false and lopsidedly. Okay, but the majority of people don't seem to understand any of these things. So it's very sad. So the majority of people, they don't look into this. They just go by what they hear on the news. They go by what their friends tell them. And it's very sad. Okay, so I want to address all of these things in this video. The psychology also about people in general, different brains in the world, different levels of of different levels of education, obviously, okay, and I noticed that the higher someone is educated, the higher is also the IQ, not just in the way that because they're intelligent they seek a higher education, but there are some people also who started out not having a super high IQ, and they go into higher education, they come out with a higher IQ. So reading books and learning more, I'm sweating really, really profusely. It's really hot today. So reading books is absolutely expanding your horizon and your IQ totally. It's just pouring down my forehead and my face. So, oh, God. The pink one matches better. Okay, whatever. So, yeah, this is what's going on, and there were several things that I woke up with today that I wanted to address in this video. And so about the way people think, the kind of stuff that I observe on the internet, it freezes in all the time. I think this has to do with very, very slow internet. I'm on a Chromebook, and maybe I should record this. Set this to offline. I don't know how to do this now, but it doesn't matter if it freezes in, as long as it comes back and continues and doesn't cut off like it did on Clay and Putty video all the time. So, alright, anyway, it feels good to hold the rock. It's really, really good. So, there are many, many different brains on the internet, many different types of people with different backgrounds. Last night I went to bed and I had to think about all of these people and the conversations that I had with them on the internet and Facebook and YouTube chat rooms and stuff like this, and also in the comments under videos. So different chat rooms, and I see approximately always the same mix of people in every chat room. Seems like some chat rooms have a higher concentration of UFO type of people. They're always nicer, and some other chat rooms have, the feminist chat rooms have a lot of male trolls in there. The men rights chat rooms got women trolls like myself, love trolls, who try to set the record straight with them, and boy, that causes an enormous, I don't know how to word it. It causes such a mix-up in people's neuronal connections. It's humongous. But it's necessary because people are completely misinformed. They don't understand women. Men don't understand women at all. They come to very, very quick conclusions about women. I see a lot of men, they point the finger and say, it's all the women's fault. They are mean and whatever, But they all come back as a woman in their next life. Many, if not most women, have been a man in their previous life. It doesn't matter whether people agree with this or not. So I'm just gonna talk about it. So, and I'm not gonna say this is a fact, because obviously this is this goes beyond that what I can actually determine as scientifically provable and touchable. So this is beyond physical determination, of course. But I always go into these other subjects. It will never stay within that range of acceptable materialistic views. So I will always go outside of it, because I'm not an atheist. I'm not religious either. I'm a panpsychist. I believe that the infinite cosmos and everything and infinitely beyond is conscious to a certain degree. Okay, so, and everything is also part of the infinite cosmos. We are too, but that doesn't mean we are God. See, that's what a lot of gurus are misunderstanding. They think God is in me, God in quotation marks, whatever their idea about that. I don't even use that word by itself. I call it blue God because the sky is blue. But the word God, that's a very sold out term, and very exploited to the point where it becomes some kind of scam or something. So, but they say, yeah, God is in all of us, thus I am God. No, it's false. Okay, so we're not gods. We have egos, and because of our egos, we have a very limited ability of seeing truth and our existence and everything around us. So if we can dissolve the ego, then we can see a whole lot more. Then we can see out into infinity. Okay. Then we can also fully accept that concept of infinity. But as long as we have ego, the ego does not accept infinity. The ego always thinks in materialistic ways, in Newtonian physics, in linearity, in finality, into any direction. So, and none of this is real, none of this is truth. Okay, that's not in the realm of truth. Truth is infinity. Yeah. So the infinite cosmos is truth, and it is also love, and it is also compassion. Love is compassion. Okay, infinite compassion. So where there is no more dualistic viewing of anything. I am not separated from this rock or from you or from anyone, where we are all really one unit. That's called oneness. So, but this can only be really understood when the ego is completely out of the way. And that is not the case with the absolute vast majority, and that includes all the gurus. None of the gurus, I would say none of the gurus have really fully understood it. Not even the ones that are very, 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 very advanced, like Bomjan in India, okay, who is a Buddha level soul. That's the highest level soul before they merge into the infinite cosmos, because that's what it is. Once you have it completely dissolved, the ego, then you are one with the infinite cosmos. Then that is what happens. That's the mechanism. Okay. So Elon Musk is another one. So once these are their last lifetimes now. I don't know, maybe their very last lifetime before they merge into the infinite. So upon them leaving their existence, taking their spacesuit off, eventually in many years from now, they will merge with the infinite cosmos, and they don't. That's called nirvana. It's called heaven. Then they don't have to come back into an existence, because then they are that, and they are one with that, and they are that infinite soul, if we want to call it so that in that infinity. So they become, basically the self becomes completely dissolved. Okay, so that's why I talk about dissolution of self, and I use this term so playfully and say, yeah, it sounds like, oh, everyone can do it, it's no, of course, so it also really depends on where we're at in our own soul development. So if we are an indigo soul, which I am, that's somewhere right in the middle. Okay, there are many soul levels above me, and it's not a hierarchy in a materialistic sense. So it's not part of the hierarchical thinking. So, but people will very quickly do it, use that for that. That's why it seems almost useless to even talk about this, because then people will go, oh, which soul level am I? And then I can identify myself, and then I'm back in that same loop of ego, and I can't seem to get out of it. So what Jiddu Krishnamurti is trying to give to the public is the understanding that the self is totally unnecessary. The self in the sense of identification. Of course, I am me, the person that I am, okay? But the idea of self is in the loop of dualistic thinking. So if we can just try to intellectually somewhat get a grasp on that, we're probably not going to get a full idea on it or full insight into this on every level, on every cellular and psychological level, so, or energetic level. So obviously that's probably not possible, because we are where we are in our soul development, and also where we are in our genetic abilities, in our brain abilities, our intellectual capacity to understand any of these things, and also in our emotional capacity, in the way we feel another living being or our own bodies, in terms of compassion for my own body and for all other life forms. Okay, so most people are not in that realm of understanding all of this, of really being able to see it, to really get a full insight into that what Jiddu Krishnamurti is talking about. So that's why I am trying to paraphrase what he and Dr. David Bohm have been talking about for, I don't know, 50 or so years. So they have sat together, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times per week or more. Sometimes they had a talk every day. Most of those talks have been recorded at least sound recorded, but also video recorded. And many of those videos, sound and video, are in the Krishnamurti archive in Ojai, California. And they have a YouTube channel, and that is public domain. People can download this. So, and that's wonderful. I really like it. I downloaded several of those videos. I listen to them at night after I turn the internet off and the router and everything, to avoid the extra additional bombardment of electromagnetic radiation and other radiation. So we're already bombarded enough with stuff. Why add more? So I think we need to try to eliminate it as much as we can. And then they have smart meters and stuff like this, and that adds another, like a Bluetooth type of radiation that comes at our house, and then satellites and cell phone towers and all of that stuff. So, but that's beyond my legislation. I can only fix the things that I can fix in my own life. So, and I can petition to make the world better. So, and that's what I do, and that's what I live for. I live for being an activist. And I live for searching for a European Basset Hound, and I will search for my dream dog for the rest of my life. And Paul and I, we have been talking about this and talking about this now for the last months, several months, what we're going to do about this. And he is actually much easier going than I am. He is not so completely set on the dog breed, and he would actually rather have yellow Labrador. But I'm an artist, and the European Basset Hound, not the other types. There are different types of Basset Hounds, okay, and people are already like they're bringing them into almost splitting up that breed into several different breeds or sub-breeds. So I have a very specific idea on how my dog has to look like. He has to be at least 100 pounds, without being obese. And he has to have extremely thick legs and feet and body. So thick. I have to have a thick dog. Okay, so I cannot live without those. I have to have them, and they are living art. Okay, they are living modern art. And they're gorgeous. Okay, so, and I know that Gretchen Hoy agrees with me on that. She has the same taste in dogs as I have. And there are some other people that share that, the bigger the better. And not in terms of loose skin. I mean, the loose skin to a certain degree, but not like super flabby or something where the skin hangs down to the ground or something. I have seen dogs where the skin from the belly hangs down to the ground. That's not okay. That's totally unpractical. So it has to stay within the range of healthy doability. And so long ears, that's not practical either, but they look awesome. So, and I feel as an animal rights activist, I feel really bad about breaking my own rules with that. So feel bad about that. and because in general, I would rather that people adopt from the animal shelter. So for anyone who doesn't have to have one specific breed of dog, please go to the animal shelter. You also save a ton of money. Okay, so, but for the people that are completely, like, not just from prestige, okay, don't go by prestige. Don't get an English bulldog because of prestige. Okay, English bulldogs breeding should be outlawed. Okay, I think that is extremely unethical. Okay, everything is unnatural about that dog breed, and they're unhealthy. So they have to get artificial insemination. They can't even have sex. I mean, they can't even enjoy their lives, you know. So they can hardly breathe because the nose is set back, like someone has punched them in the face, like some Play-Doh, and you punch it in the face. So that's what the nose looks like. The hair is actually has a green color, like this painting here. I am not kidding. There was a photographer lady that came to our house when my brother and I were children, and this dog was absolutely fierce, and he could almost not breathe, and he was chasing our rabbit, and it was all a disaster, and his face had that color. I am not kidding. I mean, I always thought they're artistic looking, but that goes against ethics. So when the appearance, the body shape goes against health and happy living, when they can't breathe well, then that is cruelty, and they should be the people should not be allowed to breed this type of dog with that particular shape. Okay, so this is very unethical. And then they have cesarean births, which they all have cesarean, but they can't even give normal births, and it's a disaster. Okay, and the dogs cost over $10,000 each. And then what happens is there are people that have this ego, you know, with the prestige way of thinking, and they go, oh, so that is the rich person's dog. So then we have to get one so that we can use that dog as our status symbol to elevate ourselves into a highly prestigious social standing, and get respect and all of this kind of stuff, and all of that on cost of the animal. Okay, that goes too far. That's wrong. I know that the European Basset Hound is also a rich person's dog. They are also very expensive. They can get up to $5,000. And also then with additional costs of ethical shipment. Ethical shipment is also extremely expensive. It should be reversed. Ethical shipment, like where they have a private person with a private plane or helicopter or private bus, where they take really good care of the dogs, and where they're not in a cage, where they're not shaken around or exposed to high heat or cold or terrible conditions. You know. So I signed a petition against the air shipment of dogs from the Ukraine to the United States, because many dogs have died in transit, and this is absolute cruelty. It is absolutely unacceptable, okay, and we need to stand up against this. So, and we should refuse to support those airlines that had this really high incidence rate of death. So, and yeah, so for a very ethical person with a lot of money, they will hire a private transportation system where shipping a dog might cost $100,000. So yeah, so for someone who has a lot of money, it's not a big deal. They can do this. We don't have a lot of money, okay? We are not rich, okay? And we have to really watch our budget. So for us, it would be much better to adopt a dog from a foster house, foster parents where they have the dog in the house and all of this, and long-term foster care. There are people that are doing this, and that's really wonderful. And I've seen one, but my husband doesn't want to get that dog because he's already very old, and then in a year or two we're gonna go through that same pain and worrying and grief again, so then we're just continuing to go through this grief over and over and over again every 2 years or so, and he wants to avoid that. He was also really afraid to lose me, because I was definitely suffering so badly that it was almost impossible for me to handle it. For me, this is worse than losing a child. So, but then later on, I see a senior and I go, I want to give that senior all the love in the world, and he needs love. He needs this mother love and that cuddling, and I want to give that to a senior dog. So I really want to, and there's a European Basset Hound senior that I really, really want to adopt, but my husband doesn't want to. But then he doesn't want to buy from a breeder. So now what do we do? So it's like a back and forth discussion, and he doesn't want to spend the money. He doesn't want to spend $4,000, and then also arrange maybe a private plane pilot to pick the dog up, or someone else, or somehow arrange to meet them halfway, and most breeders are not willing to do that. They see money. They're not going by the welfare of the dog. Most breeders, okay, they have people lined up for European Basset Hounds for like a whole year. For a whole year they have people who paid their deposit on a puppy, waiting now in line. Well, this is really insane. It's a little bit like the people who were lined up to buy a Tesla truck. So there's like 2 years waiting lists or something for that. So yeah, when something is extra amazing, then the demand is much higher than the supply, obviously. And so then I got to think about, I don't want to go through this again, where I have to be looking and looking and looking and looking, and then I end up sitting on my bed crying and thinking, oh, how are we gonna do this if we can't even meet the requirements to go from A to B with this procedure of adopting another European Basset Hound. So finding Dave was a fully European Basset Hound with pedigree, and they used him as a stud dog also. He won dog shows. We got him when he was 8 years old, when the breeder didn't want him anymore, and when the breeder saw that he had bumps on his body, he had tumors and bleeders. He saw that that would be a liability for him to keep Dave. Then Dave ended up in a foster care. He just handed him over to foster mothers. And all of this is highly unethical. When they use a stud dog and they have him for so long, for so many years, and then they just say goodbye just like that and give him away and don't even know what's going to happen to him. And those are people that have completely disconnected themselves from compassion. And that's the kind of stuff that I see in the world that is really frightening to me, and that really, really bothers me. And that's the kind of stuff that makes me cry and very, very deeply depressed. Okay, and makes me feel hopeless a lot, where I feel like this isn't going anywhere, But then, I do the best I can for my own life and for my own health, and that's all I can do. That's all anyone can do is, take care of your own life, take care of your own health. Do petitioning, do something, become politically involved, become an activist. Become actively involved in decision making that is happening globally. So then we feel like at least we are voicing our views. At least we're educating other people on the issues. Okay, at least we are participating in bringing a ballot in front of a legislator. Okay, so or proposing a bill for him to sign, okay? And my husband and I, we have participated in many of those legislative steps that have been made together with many other people, okay? It takes every single person to participate in this and moving this forward, okay? Including Vladimir Putin signing a bill into effect that outlaws the shooting, the hunters, and particularly the real monstrous sadistic tourism that they have. Sadistic tourism, when people come from all over the world to participate in a monstrous act against an animal in some other country, and they pay money for that. There are some monstrous brains in this world, for sure. It's freezing, and there are some really, really disconnected people in this world that grew up with a completely false sense of the world. But it has a lot to do with their upbringing. It has a lot to do with their parents, what kind of belief system their parents had, what kind of worldview their parents and the entire society, every uncle, aunt, grandfather, grandmother, the entire friend circle, what all of these people believe. When they all believe that they all think that it is okay to hunt, or trophy hunting, or safari club, or bear hunting, or den shooting, and pilot whale shooting in the Faroe Islands. And when they grow up with that as children, then they don't even question it. They never question it. Okay? So, and that's why I educate people. And of course, they identify themselves with those kind of things. They think this is their tradition, and they think that's their identity. They go so far that they think that is who they are as a person, that's their skin and hair and organs or something. So me saying something against it, is perceived as a threat, as a direct threat against their actual person, and it's not, because people don't have to identify themselves with that kind of culture that they grew up with. What they call culture, they call it culture. Okay. And there's no need to identify themselves with that type of upbringing and with that type of worldview, and particularly disconnected worldview, disconnected from feeling the other life forms, feeling that their right to existence, their right to happiness, their right to living a happy, healthy, full life. Okay. So we got Vladimir Putin to sign that into fact, that at least they had that law then where kind-hearted law enforcement officers would go in and stop those trophy hunters and the den shooters and those type of people, and really prosecute them to the fullest extent. So this is what I live for, I live for making the world better. Okay? So it feels to me like moving forward, it's like I may be sitting here like all day long on this couch, and it feels like physically I'm not really moving forward. Sometimes I do some yoga and stretching and dancing and belly dancing, and I hurl my legs up into the air, and I used to do the splits in the past, so I'm quite limber, and I shake myself, and I do stuff, but I'm mainly sitting on this couch. And it feels like, well, obviously I'm not just sitting here in front of this balcony door, and this house is not moving forward anywhere. It just stays here, stationary. But that is what the internet is good for now. The internet is my simulation of moving forward in my life. It just seems like it's more like a simulation, like I'm traveling through the world on the internet, I'm like in a cyberspace with goggles on, and I'm floating in the air, and I'm going to the South Pacific Islands, and I'm bathing in the ocean there, and all in my imagination on the internet. And that's all valid, it's all okay, it's also part, the blue pill, actually. The blue pills, they are part of our reality, You can take a blue pill, but it's okay. It's all part of reality. I watched a really interesting Outer Limit film where people went to another planet. It's a little bit like Alien, and there were aliens that attached themselves to their brains, and they slowly ate. They ate their brain cells real slowly. Little bit parasitic, but like an outer parasite, like a wobble spider, attached itself onto the brain, really big actually, like at least as big as their heads, and like a bass cap or something, and this alien injected hallucinogenic chemicals into them and made them feel really good while they were slowly slurping away their brains. So that's a little bit blue pill. So we don't know what reality really we live in. A lot of people say we are just a computer simulation. We could be, that's a possibility. There's all kinds of possibilities. My dad, I remember he was reading a physics book on new discoveries about quantum physics. He couldn't sleep for a week because of that. He said, what if this planet is just a molecule on someone's giant skin? Yeah, so I had to laugh about this because I don't see why this is even relevant to be sweating about that. It's not relevant at all. I see my reality here. Okay, this computer, this rock here is reality. I am reality. I exist. Yesterday I was thinking about that too. I thought, it's very, very rough. It's very rough existing. Sometimes I don't know if I'm in some kind of dream. But yeah, it seems very difficult. Lots of obstacles, particularly if you have some specific goal in mind, and the way you go about getting from A to B is you're first going to C and all the other letters, hoping that at some point you will get to B. So it's freezing in. So yeah, it's very difficult existence. Why take a red pill that is also just an option? The red pill is just another option. The red pill is the option that someone who grew up with Islam or with extreme violence and hardship, that is the pill they will take, because the blood pill, that is the violence, the war, the rage, that's the pill they will take. They will swallow whatever brutal is presented at them. They will take that pill instead of the blue pill, the kind pill, the calm water, blue water, the deep water. I'm diving deep into philosophy. Okay, they will choose the red pill because that's what they have been conditioned with. Okay, we can switch that off in an instant and say, no, I don't want that anymore. Okay, it's also much easier for women to do this because it's already in us. It's already naturally in us, the tendency to take the blue pill. Because, and I don't mean denial by that at all. So I'm not talking about denial at all right now. That's another subject by itself. I'm talking about, okay, if we are in a computer simulation, doesn't matter. I'm taking the blue pill and I'm dealing with the reality that I have here right now. Why should I take a red pill and make life even more complicated if I don't have to? Why should I be stressing myself out over a possibility of where we're at and what this existence is all about, if I don't have to, right? Right now I'm just dealing with my surroundings that I'm exposed to, with the material and the elements that I am exposed to in this very moment. Okay, so I accept that. And some people will say that's a blue pill, and why would you take someone's word for this or this or that? Why would you believe someone who says that they won the lottery? First of all, that doesn't even pertain to my life. If someone tells me they won the lottery, I take the blue pill and say, yeah, cool, good for you, Whether that is actually true that they won the lottery, they probably didn't, because chances are very low that someone wins the lottery. But maybe he did, right? So I'll take his word for it. Now, when it comes to scam artists, I will be a little bit more careful. I'll be a little bit more red pillish. Okay, so at least I won't even say that's red pill. That's just rational sense within the realm of blue pill. Okay, so I'm in a computer simulation. There's a scam artist coming at me. This is all within the realm of computer simulation or Second Life, right? So that's still a scam artist coming at me, whether I am sweating over the fact that we're in a computer simulation or not, right? So why make it extra complicated? It doesn't even matter. Maybe we are in a computer simulation. That's cool, actually. It's not a problem for me at all. Also, death is not a problem. Why should I be afraid of death? So it's just merging again. It's part of evolution. Okay, everything is in a constant flux. I get wrinkles. Nothing stays the way it is. We don't stay 20 when we're 20. Okay, it just moves and forms and morphs and becomes, and the brain learns and expands, right? If you read, if you pay attention, which I recommend to people to do. And also introspection, very, very important. Meditation, going into yourselves and expanding yourselves and in your compassion, very, very important. If nobody does it, it's going to be very, very difficult for the very few who do it. Okay, so let's all do this and move the world forward, even if it's in your armchair, recliner chair, or couch. That's what we use the internet for now. People will say, you armchair activist. That's 10,000 times better if you are not an armchair activist. That's 10,000 times better than being in a recliner chair and just doing self-pleasuring. Okay, so sex, porn, video games, just self-aggrandization, bragging, that's what people do. All of those things. Ego-pleasing, self-pleasing things. Pleasure, luxury. It's all good, but that's some people are only into this. What can I get out of this? Then we don't make the world better. Okay. But it's those people that will say, you armchair activists, and those are the same people that say online petition, don't do, because someone told them, So that's very convenient for them to just, okay, someone said this, that's convenient, so I'll believe it. Someone says we're God, and then I'll believe I'm God. That's a convenient thing. Then I can brag to whatever. So no, it doesn't work that way. Okay. We both sit in a recliner chair or on a couch on the computer. Okay. I'm doing activism and you do video games. Okay. You make fun of me for being an armchair activist. Okay. I don't make fun of you. I don't make fun of people doing video games. It's their business. But I'm pointing out the reality of this. I'm pointing out the facts, the truth of it. I do whatever I can to make the world better. The video game player is just pleasing his own self, his own ego. Okay. So not making the world better. But we each sit on the couch. Okay. So why would someone make fun of that then, that I'm sitting on the couch? They should be glad that I'm doing activism. Okay. So we have to look at these things from a little bit wider angle and look at the reality of it. And people shouldn't be feeling low of themselves, which they really do deep down. Outwardly they brag and they will pretend to be grand and whatever, and they pretend to all kinds of things. inwardly, I know, and I see it. I see that very, very clearly. Inwardly, they have a lot of shame, a lot of feeling of inadequacy, and they feel bad. They feel beaten down by their egos, beaten down by their parents, beaten down by this feeling of someone else is accomplishing something and they are not. Okay, and then they twist this around and they will blame the person who's accomplishing something and saying that that person made me feel bad by her accomplishments. And I've seen all of this on the internet. I've seen it directly. People were saying these things directly to me. There was a guy once who got so freaking mad at me. First, he was trying to flirt with me, and I was kind enough to talk to him. That was many, many years ago when we had Kenny. I was kind enough to engage in a conversation with him and not just ignore him. And because he was talking about his dogs, so obviously that guy had pit bulls, and he was probably also not even taking very good care of them and letting them breed out of control somewhere at the border of Mexico. And a Catholic, of course. And then he was coming at me with this macho attitude of, you atheists, you don't know anything. He didn't even understand that I'm not an atheist, but obviously I am science oriented and I speak about evolution. And he got real, then he got real mad at me. And then the next time I asked him, what is it? What's going on? Why are you so freaking mad at me? I was real nice to you. We talked about our dog. And then he said, because you made me feel like a loser. Now that was someone who was actually honestly sharing with us the content of his brain, which most people don't. Okay, most people will also conceal that as well. They will conceal the concealing of the concealing. So it goes into convolution. This guy was more straightforward because his brain was a lot less convoluted. So, but he didn't even understand the fact that his brain is less convoluted. So he's more animalistic in that way. So, and I felt compassion. I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. So I see the whole picture of it, Some people are much more like, their brains are much more structured like a monkey brain than others. So obviously there are huge differences in brain size and brain function among the human species alone. And this is a very controversial subject, of course. Now, I'm nearing an hour now, but I'm going to wrap it up. But it is a fact, okay? And instead of making fun of anyone, instead of ridiculing people and saying, oh, or calling their names, or segregating, or this or that, we need to engage in a conversation, just as we engage and should engage into a conversation with all living beings and ask them how they feel. They all have the reason, they all have their own right to happiness and everything. But the human ape, as I call most people, we're all human apes. Okay, so some of them are more ape-like, and the ones that are doing dog fighting, which is extremely cruel, like that Catholic who thinks he just needs to repent to Jesus and then everything is forgiven. Now, that's a very convenient belief. His brain doesn't understand any of these things. He suffers from pride and shame, and the shame is really deep in most people. Okay, and they act it out then, and they act it out by wanting to appear macho, and then they exploit animals to do that. So obviously there has to be a higher instance in terms of law enforcement that has to come in and say, I'm sorry, you cannot do this to that other living being. I'm going to stop you from doing this. And then he'll go, you or I don't have a right to tell me how to live my life. Yes, they do. When it comes to protecting other life forms, they do. Because nobody has the right to exploit another life form. Okay, so there is the dove now. Hello, dove. Oh, it's good to see the dove. It's so cute. So I'm gonna stop the video here now, and I send you all infinite love, and meditate every single day. Do that for yourselves, okay? And read a lot of books. Take care, love.